Well, while Capital Games fixes their newest fiasco with Galactic Legends layout, how about we talk about how looks like they finally fixed the previous fiasco right before it. The Leviathan, ladies and gentlemen, Leviathan got buffed out of nowhere. We did have a little bit of foresight that it was coming to Galaxy of Heroes. And is it the top of the meta, the king of fleets? Will it execute profoundly? It's feeling like that's gonna be the case. We're gonna show the brand new Leviathan, a fundamentally different ship. It's like, wow, almost giving it every massive debuff from fear, to isolate, the stun, the shock. You would think it'd eventually be pretty good. Well, that does seem to be the case. In case you missed it the other day, when they added Galactic Legends Organa, they finally tucked in the Leviathan changes as well, where a few things are happening. If the enemy capital ship is light side, which is going to affect several counters we've had, Profundity, Negotiator, the Resistance, Radis, dispel all buffs on target enemy, and inflict isolate on them. So Darth Trey essentially for the rest of the encounter, and any out of turn attacks you can't critically hit Sith, that really affects the Profundity counter. And on top of that, whenever a non-tank Sith ally's critical hits, so the TIE Dagger, Malgus, the Sith tanks, Marauder, are going to taunt way more frequently, kind of almost a General Kenobi of the Sith ship, basically. So we kind of knew, well, took them they were looking into it for almost a month now. August 10th is when they said they're looking at the Profundity versus Leviathan and the Chimera versus Leviathan. And the good news is this: the Chimera versus Leviathan counter still exists. In case you missed it, this was a counter that existed before. You didn't see me use it because it was incredibly expensive and it took away from my normal counter I use for Executor. And I have been getting a lot of discussion. Do we expect maybe a nerf for this? I'm not sure. Let's go hop in, show you this Profundity battle real quick. Basically, I mean, with the full auto everything, absolutely no problem. I was already able to pretty much full auto everything with the previous update they had for Leviathan. Pretty much now it's completely bulletproof. Absolutely no issues. Full auto my way up the fleet arena. But now the concern is, we're finally in that concern because now it's feeling like the king of fleets, like they told us, I don't know, like 6 months ago. How do we beat this thing? So right from the very get-go, the biggest thing is this right here. The thing that's been working in favor of these light side ships, Negotiator, Radis, as well, and Radis's Profundity, is the fact that they hide behind a very durable tank. You know, the BLT Central Negotiator, the Rebel Y-Wing here, even heck, the Resistance Bomber was very helpful. So they said, you know what, just frickin' A, just isolate them. So we're gonna literally isolate the Rebel Y-Wing, and it's done. You're not stuck behind it anymore. It's as easy as that. And now it leaves Outrider completely open. And what we're gonna do in a minute when we get Malgus' turn, we are just gonna gun him down. Thanks for playing. Yeah, again, it's almost like they already have days, they have stuns, fear, shocks, like, just give them ice. They literally have, and they have the doubt as well. So they basically have every massive Sith debuff that exists out there. So it's kind of funny, pretty funny if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen. So again, the question is not anymore, oh man, how are we gonna end up counter, how is this ship any good? It does feel good now. But the question's gonna be, how do we actually end up beating this thing? So that's what I want to talk about. Let's roll this real quick. The issue that I'm noticing, the thing that I used to do for Leviathan, look at this, is like completely different battle. Just like completely different battle. The thing that I was using prior was I would just do it in Negotiator. Negotiator would pretty much mostly decimate the fleet. And look at it, hitting the ultimate, it's game over. Once you're getting around that, because the Rebel Y-Wing was the biggest struggle. The Galactic Republic Y-Wing was the biggest struggle. The Bomber for the Resistance fleet was the biggest struggle. It's night and day difference for the fleet. But we already, now I think it should be evident, we don't need to really drive the point home. You're gonna full auto pretty much every single fleet that exists out there. So why don't we turn our attention towards actually fighting it? So the first thing I wanna say is this: if you're gonna see any gameplay or you're gonna fight someone in Grand Arena, this is officially, this is the superior lineup. I know there was some theory that maybe the Sith Fighter was a better starter. I was never aboard on that. I think the TIE Dagger was the better starting unit, and for sure now it's the better starting unit. If you see the Sith Fighter with this lineup, it's just mathematically inferior to this lineup. So TIE Dagger, Sith Bomber, as well as Darth Malgus is the way to go. I want to just show the Chimera counter really quickly. This existed before, and even developers were aware of it, and even myself, it's like, they might be nerfing this. They said they're investigating it, and the fact that this still works, I want to believe CG knows. I really want to believe they know, they tested it. Questionable, but I want to believe so. Here's why I think, because this works very well. I don't think this is going to get nerfed, mainly because it requires 2 conquest ships. That, you know, that's kind of expensive. And secondly, as we're going to talk about, this really affects how you come across the Executor now inside a Grand Arena. The Executor is going to be a huge issue for me now. So it looks like this one for my Executor counter. It looks like it might be my Leviathan counter. Let's show how it works. Basically, it shouldn't be too obvious. It should be very obvious at this point. You're feeding tons and tons and tons and tons of turn meter to your Chimera. You're putting out big damage. Let's show you how it operates. Number 1, the way the TIE Fighter interacts with Scythe is the following. You get the Foresight, which forces them to basically go after them. And on top of that, we're going to get some turn meter. Let's quickly get our TIE Defender out in the field. So they sabotage the engines, which really doesn't mean anything. And the good thing about it is here, because we're not a light side capital ship, the new Isolate clause doesn't affect us at all. So we got the dodge. We're getting tons of turn meter. Bringing out TIE Defender, a ship that I've been pushing for everyone to get when it first came. Even my free-to-play count, I have it at 7 stars because it's so darn good. This is very important. What you want to do is you want to land the ion torpedoes. We really don't use this against the Executor here. We want to use it as a first play because you can't critically hit. Therefore, you can't get all the foresight and all the other crazy, resilient defense type of stuff. So we want to go ahead, hit them with that stun right there. And next up, what we're going to do, Scythe. This is incredibly important. The Scythe, another upside to this is that the Scythe, I feel like, is very valuable, but the downside is this kind of pulls away from a possible profundity counter as well. So we're going to do the buff this spell. And basically, this is probably the most important play. Oh, you got to do basic over here on the Sith Marauder. And then what we're going to do, Vader's going to come in. Most of the time, I'm able to one-shot this ship. Because of formation giving tons of offense, this should feel really good. We should be able to just obliterate the TIE Dagger. Oh, we didn't get it through that time, but that's fine. The AoE should finish it off sometime. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess we can see what happens when it does happen. Wow. I just want to say for the record, I did this battle multiple times. I was always able to one-shot the TIE Dagger with my Vader, but even worst case scenario, the Thrawn AoE fix it. They got the dodge. So, we're just going to roll with it. Let's see what happens here. So we're going to go, who needs it? I think for right now, that's a little concerning. The stun on TIE Defender sucks because it can't dodge anymore. I'm going to give this over to Vader. Let's see what we can do with this unfortunate mess of a situation we have. We got some fear on him. Nicely done. Give me some nice. We got a lot of dodges, and we get to bring all of our reinforcements out before we get our whole sabotage or our whatever. We get sabotaged and we can't bring out any more ships. We have no more ships to really throw out there. What I'm going to do actually is I want to really make sure we try to handle this Sith Trooper here. So I'm going to go target it. Now watch, it's going to create a taunt on the Sith Marauder there. Getting a lot of turn. All right, we're going to insta-kill. Normally the Sith Marauder, it wouldn't be a problem. It's a massive problem. Let's get rid of it. I'm going to fix up my TIE Defender. And there we go. We got the 2-for-1 special. And now we can kind of work with the rest. This was by far the messiest battle I've done. They sabotaged my hangars. But it looks like we're going to be fine. We're still getting through this. So there we go. So even with the worst RNG I've ever seen myself do this battle, we still pulled out, didn't lose a single one. I kind of want to run it one more time just to show you. Maybe we get the more ideal, more frequent situation that happens to me. Let's go hop back in, show you how it works. But so it works. Again, I don't think this is going to get nerfed because they literally... It's really hard. My confidence in the testing is at an all-time low for the game. But they literally said a month ago they're investigating this particular thing, and it still works. But again, at the end of the day, we need counters for the Leviathan. We need at least one thing, and this is still kind of expensive, and it pulls away for sure one counter from Executor. And if you're someone, I've been using Malevolence for profundity, so it's still fine. But some people do use the Scythe to handle the profundity. So just putting it out there, it might seem deceptively cheap, but with the 2 conquest units, step in the expensive side of things. There we go. We got our dodge from the TIE Fighter. Bring out TIE Defender. We're going to go in. Let's see if we can try to lock in a stun like so. Pretty much the stun should always land. Get the buff this spell, which will give us tons of offense for my Vader. And in a moment, hopefully we can, remember, always just do the basic here, because if you crit any of these ships, it's going to taunt. It's going to ruin everything. So just drop a basic over there. All right. Can I get the one shot this time? There we go. And 169,000 damage. So that's what happens more often, but I'm extremely happy I got worst case scenario, because you're going to have those rough days in Grand Arena or Fleet Arena. You just know how it goes. Do the turn removal. At this point, once you get the TIE Dagger out, life is so much simpler. at this point. Now, unfortunately, we are going to get stunned, and that always sucks. Hopefully, we get some dodges. We didn't get any dodges right there. Let's go ahead. You know what? I'm going to top off. Yeah, let's just top off TIE Defender. Kind of again, once you kind of, it's very straightforward. There's really not a lot of ways that things can go wrong here. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to just do that right now. Drop that basic here. And then what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to see if I can maybe insta kill. Not quite yet. Let's go drop this out here. And it probably doesn't matter. That Vader play, I was expecting something a little bit cooler to happen. Didn't happen. Well, let's go ahead, drop that. We got the BUFFED on. And the good thing is without the TIE Dagger now, they can't cleanse. So now here's a situation where I can just get rid of Malgus right away. This is how I've been primarily doing it. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and boy, there's a lot of ways we can go about this. You know, I'm just going to fix up my TIE Defender. Kind of the important shit. There we go. Malgus is out. And you guys know once Malgus is out, it's pretty much game over at that point. So there you go. Another very clean battle. The RNG from both extremes. And at the end of the day, it's a very nice counter. Again, but I want to, this is what I want to point out here. So the issue that we have is this right here. Check it out. Finalizer. Like people wonder, why don't I use Finalizer count on the free-to-play count, of course, but that's because most folks on the free-to-play count, they don't have absurd relics on Executor, and they run the normal lineup with the Finalizer, or with the Executor, where it's Razor Crest, Xanadu Blood, Hound's Tooth, which is a very manageable counter for Finalizer. I pretty much almost have 100% win rate. The problem is, most in my neck of the woods are running the triple attacker. And basically, once you start looking at the win rates here, let's actually take that off for a second. When you look at the win rates for the triple attacker lineup, it doesn't look really good. You know, 43% is pretty much how it goes. I don't know how people are getting 22%. The other ones, for me, it's the inverse. I have a much better chance. It's not impossible, so it's time to maybe brush off the dust on the Finalizer versus the triple attacker. Just the Executor, the Chimera counter versus the Executor. Look at that, 90. It's like almost 90% when we look at this. Pretty insane. That's basically what my experience has been for that. But now if Leviathan's gonna pull it, because let's look at some other ships here. You know, that's just gonna be the world we're living in. So let's go show some other stuff here. The Negotiator's the next one I want to show. Now there were kind of two ways with Negotiator to sort of handle Leviathan. From my experience now, because of the isolate, and you can't hide behind a Y-Wing anymore, this doesn't feel very good. I mean, you're not going to get more than one reinforced, so why even bother putting it in? So this was my kind of go-to. I would use Executor for the Chimera for Executor. I would use Malevolence likely for Leviathan, or I could have used Executor versus back up. I use Chimera for Leviathan. I use Malevolence for Profundity, and even sometimes Executor versus the Profundity. And I would do this where I would try to get my two-shot. And how would that work? You get the buff this spell. We would go down, mass swarm Darth Malgus. We're going to get stuck behind a taunt again here. We're going to try to get a buff immunity. And we didn't even get the buff immunity, so this is going to be a rough run. We're going to try to do the buff this spell. Try keep working on Malgus. But here's the issue here. They come and they sabotage my engines, and I get isolated. And my Ahsoka and Anakin are wide open for absolute decimation. That it never happened before. Simply throwing out an isolate again. It's like they had to throw on every single massive debuff we currently have in game to make it work, because otherwise your Y-Wing would be eating up all the hits. So this, I made it, I got it to work once. Like my first shot, I was like, oh, this still works. It doesn't look like this is gonna still work, you know. You might get lucky if you're desperate. I don't know if I have the confidence to do this myself in the future. It's probably, that's why it looks like Chimera might have to move away from Executor counters. Here I try to force Plo to turn into my taunt all of a sudden, you know, but now we got the Hanger Sabotage, which doesn't matter. I don't have any more reinforcements. Look, we're just getting absolutely busted. But at least we got through the stable bulwark. But if again, the game plan is if you get out, like say normally I'd be like almost at my Y-Wing assault. We don't even have it. If you can get Malgus out, you can go for the two-shot cleanup. Before it was basically guaranteed you're gonna have a two-shot on Leviathan. Yeah, it's not looking good, my senores. We're gonna try. There we go. Cool. All right. I don't want to. I know I'm God's gift to mobile gaming and all that fun stuff. I'm gonna chalk that up with I got lucky with the last second move right there. Sometimes my Anakin's one of the first to die, so I can't give my stamp approval if this is gonna work all the time. But at least now, if this was Grand Arena, you bring in your resistance Radis of Holdo, and there you go. You can do a two-shot, but it's not very consistent. There's another one that you could also use. those with 5s, but that as well is kind of DOA, y'all. So let's go show you how that one works. So Galactic Republic 5s, which I believe I do have a Relic 9/5, so keep that in mind. So it's pretty much as good as your 5s can get. Let's send it on in, show you what we're looking at here, and yeah, it's kind of a similar problem. The issue is here, the Sith Bomber taunts a lot more, and again, the most important thing, the Y-Wing getting isolated, it kills this counter. So I have a high negotiator, so I was able to outrun that Marauder right there. We're gonna go send it on in. All right, and then we're gonna try to do our buff immunity. All right, we got the buff immunity. We're gonna get that buff dispel, so the window's opened up. Okay, but now they're gonna do their play. Leviathan's gonna be here very shortly. You know, here's what we're gonna do. We already have. Yeah. You know what? Let's do this. Let's pop this hit. Let's pop the hit here. Can I get rid of it? Not quite. The crit damage immunity is kind of an issue. There's my engines, and now again, my Y-Wing is dead. Absolutely useless. The TIE Dagger cleansed the team. Yeah. This is... and again, you got to get Malgus out if you want to do a cleanup. You just gotta. And here, we're going to try doing this. Get the cleanse. Got a little protection. Let's at least get Plo to kind of turn towards it. It's almost like... You know, maybe we got to put something else in instead of the Y-Wing, because the Y-Wing's not doing much. Look at that again. They're just completely ignoring my Plo. They're just go on the guy. I do not like the 5s lineup, at least if my relics versus their relics and the new buffs. It just doesn't feel as good. And again, Y-Wing is just completely useless. They found the problem. These light side tanks are causing issues for Leviathan. They completely isolated them out of battle. Literally. Yeah, they just keep going after them. We're not even getting close. I feel like at least I was semi-closer last time. Come on. There we go. See, at least Plo's kind of doing some work here. Let's see if we can do the basic. Get rid of that foresight. Maybe we can try to get Anakin to get a nice basic here. Ooh, there goes my Plo. Give me a nice... Ooh. I'm going to go basic here. There we go. Again, if you can at least try to... I love it that now that I'm doing video, it's looking like this is very consistent. I'm just putting it out there. It's not always working for me. But hey, if you get... well, the most important thing is this is... Even if when I am getting them out, the Malgus that is, it's still a horrible battle going against me anyway. So normally I get at least 1 or 2, sometimes 3 ships out. You'll be lucky if you get Malgus out. I'm putting it out there. However, this strategy is not going to be helpful for fleet arena climbs when you're trying to get those juicy crystals because, well, you kind of need the one-shot this ship. So let's go look at our final option here. The thing that was really CG's #1 public enemy, and that was Profundity. Profundity was able to underdog basically no reinforcements, 3-man, max banners, because it really relied on the Profundity and the Y-Wing. Just the Y-Wing would just, you'd feel like the whole battle you're stuck behind the Y-Wing when you're from the perspective of the other side. So, you know, I'm gonna put it out there that, you know, this is just day 1. You know, I've done this at least a dozen or so times. It doesn't, I don't know why I'm putting reinforcements in here. It doesn't really matter. Really now it seems like with Profundity, you're never gonna get reinforcements out there. Your hangar's always gonna be sabotaged, and it's kind of done at that point. The biggest problem is you can't crit anymore with your out attack of turns. So yeah, it's like I'm assuming this is coded as an out attack of turns. So whether you get Falcon to assist, the Outrider to assist, you can't crit. The thing is, you already can't crit because, well, they had all that. Let's see what we can try to do here. Try to get the work done. Now again, if you fight the Sith Assassin lineup, I find that to be a lot easier to handle because that's a lot. The TIE Dagger is just a massive pain in the butt. Let me see if, you know, I'm gonna see if I can maybe, yeah, we already have here. Let's get that days off list. I don't know. Yeah, sometimes just do the basic only. I've done this battle in so many different angles, and it just seems like no matter which way we go, it's an absolute nightmare. So here's the thing. If we're gonna get stuck behind Sith Marauder regardless. There we go. Try to land some hits here. Come on, baby. Come on. All right. Let's see what we can do. Let's go ahead, drop that, go under stealth. All right, so the good thing is about the Profundity match versus Leviathan, the Leviathan plays like an idiot, so it gives you a window of opportunity. They sabotage the hangars first and not the engines. And when they're not sabotaging the engines, they're not getting the isolate. So that might be a window of opportunity where we can exploit that to our advantage. Yeah, it's probably a waste of time to even do the wiggle because we're always going to have days basically on us. And if I try to attack Malgus and we're going to buff the spell and crit, the Sith Marauder is just going to taunt again. So it's like now it feels like I have to deal with their tank, and there's the isolate. And luckily we're under stealth. We have outmaneuver, so we you know, we can kind of work the money a little bit here. Yeah. And that's the issue. Now look, my dude's getting absolutely decimated. Like, see, watch. If I try, look, I could try. Look, boom. We're stuck behind the taunt. That's the issue that we're having here. So at this point, it doesn't even matter if I bring in a reinforcement. We're not going to make it to the next one. I mean, Phantom sounds maybe if you do get a chance, you do that, so it reduces your reinforcement cooldown. I don't know if we're going to be able to pop a good plague. Maybe we could try to get Biggs out. Maybe Biggs can taunt, but I feel like by the time we get Biggs out, the battle's already lost at that point. Yeah, again, they really made Marauder. They kind of made us pay the price for our Y-Wings, and now it's like you're stuck behind Marauder basically the whole entire battle. Basic's not going to do anything here. Just do this, clear off some of the foresight. Maybe we can hit that Malgus over there, and they're going to come in, get some shock on us, and I actually surprised my Outrider lasts as much as it. If they played it right, like I showed when I fought the Profundity, you could take out Outrider in the first few seconds of the match. So it's just, yeah, without the Y-Wing doing what it's supposed to do, like here, it's like, I feel like it's too late. We're bringing out a reinforcement. We're going to get days on us. Yeah, it's just like, no matter how much I try, we can't even get an assist. We just, yeah, there we go. They got that on here. We'll try to do outmaneuver. So the thing is, they're going to probably hit ultimate, I expect. Now, yeah, it's feeling like the King of Fleets, with the only good spot being that Chimera counter. Thank goodness. So I'm hoping CG does not do any more buffs to the Leviathan. You know, the Chimera counter is expensive. Is it cheesy? Yeah, it's cheesy. there's no arguing with that. It's a completely cheesy type of counter. But man, they definitely pulled it in the other direction with this fleet. I mean, again, they promised this was the King of Fleets. It's feeling like the King of Fleets. It was not the King of Fleets. It was not executing profoundly before. It feels like it's doing that now. The usual counters feel like they're absolutely struggling. So, Leviathan owners, be happy. Your Leviathan's going to be a big boy. For the non-Leviathan owners, hopefully you got the Chimera counter. I feel like there's happy news on both sides of the spectrum here. It's the Big Daddy ship. It's going to be here for a while, just like when Executor. I feel like now Leviathan's feeling like that Executor Profundity release. It takes a while to really find a lot more counters. So it's only day one. I want to believe that there's at least some degree of a chance to beat this lineup. But if you see the Sith Assassin lineup, lick your chops. That should be a lot easier without the TIE Dagger being an absolute menace. Anyways, y'all, that's going to wrap it up for today. That's Leviathan changes. Let's hope they finally change the Leviathan so we can actually play that one. But I wanted to get this video out there because of Grand Arena in full swing. They decided to drop this in a Grand Arena session. I want to make sure you guys have at least some idea of what this is looking like for me. Chimera is going to be my go-to. The Executor, it's going to become a little bit bigger of a pain in my hiney. Thank you for watching. Leave that like, comment down below. Make sure you subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And always remember, my senores, that it's great to be in the Empire today.
Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.